Jason with Hardy Life Outdoors. I'm here in Southeast Ohio at the Lazy H, and today I'm going to talk about answer the frequently asked question: what size rotary cutter can I run on my 1025R? And the reality is, most people don't ask that question. They ask, can I run a 60 inch? Can I run a 6 foot? Can I run, they're out shopping for attachments. They're price conscious, so they're trying to find a good deal, and I can't blame anyone for that. They are wanting to be as efficient as possible, so they want as big a brush hog as they can run. And they may be looking at used stuff. So they're seeing what's available in their local market and coming out to the various forums and Facebook pages and groups and saying, what size rotary cutter can I run on my tractor? Before I dive into that, I'm going to answer another question. If you saw my 1025R maiden voyage video, one of the things that I said was I had a dilemma about what to do with the plastic on my seat. I never knew this was a thing, but lots of people keep it on there as long as they possibly can. Every tractor I've owned before this, the plastic was taken off by the dealer, so it was never a question. So I threw it out. I said, here's my dilemma. And I had one person that came back and said, take it off, Jason. Having that plastic on there has a potential of trapping moisture and causing mold and mildew on your seat and permanently staining your seat. And when I thought about this thing gets stored out in the barn, it gets whatever weather there is going on outside. If it's humid out, the barn's humid. If it's cold out, the barn's cold. All it takes is a small hole in that plastic, and that moisture could get caught in there. So the plastic is on it today. I hadn't been back to take it off, but the next time you see the tractor, I will have taken that advice and removed the plastic from the seat. So one other suggestion, I forget if it was the same guy or someone else, said buy a cover for it. So I may just look into that, see what a decent cover would be like to protect the seat, and potentially something that's cloth so it's not hot and sweaty, doesn't feel sweaty on me. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on the plastic and what people told me the last time. So let's talk brush hog. First off, I'm going to tell you, when you ask that question in a public forum, you're going to get every imaginable answer. Someone is going to tell you, more than one person, I run a 60-inch Woods. I run a 60-inch County Line. I run, you name it, somebody runs it with no problem. The bigger question is, should you? This tractor will do a lot of things. There's a lot of things you shouldn't do with it. You need to understand what your tractor is designed for, and stay within the specs. You're not necessarily doing something one time going to destroy the tractor, have it fall apart all at once, but there's plenty of guys out there complaining about the condition of their tractor 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, and I believe that's a function of misuse over and over. If you abuse it, it's going to wear your tractor out much sooner. My last tractor was a 2016 1025R. I had it for 6 years. Only had about 160 hours on it. I used it for mowing, tilling, a few things. Didn't use it all the time, but it was in great shape, and I never had a problem with it. Nothing on that tractor ever failed. So I need to knock on wood that this one, functions the same. Back to the question. What size? You go to the dealer. If you're getting answers from everybody, call your dealer. If you don't believe your dealer, call 2 or 3 dealers and ask them. John Deere dealers. Don't call the Woods dealer and ask him, because he's going to tell you it works. Don't call the County Line guy. He's at Tractor Supply and he doesn't know. I guarantee you those guys aren't experts on every attachment that's out there. So talk to your John Deere dealer. Ask him. First thing you need to understand is one of the key things for that thing to function properly is to have enough PTO power. It's a 25 horsepower tractor. It does not have a 25 horsepower PTO. The PTO on this tractor is 18. So the power that goes from the tractor out the PTO shaft is 18 horsepower. That's what's going to drive the size of the and for 48, you're not going to find anything less. Next item that's important to think about is being able to carry this thing. So it's one thing you can spin it and it's going to cut. It's another thing getting it to and from where you need to work. One of the things that I find, you lift this thing up, I like to carry it as low as possible, which is, what you should be doing. When I'm riding in, I got that wheel kind of bouncing and touching every now and then. But that gives me a little stability. That keeps that thing from moving around on my 3-point any sway. On side hills, I can feel it pulling. I can feel it moving the tractor. Not moving the tractor. I can feel the weight shift. So when you've got that thing in the air and you're using it or just transporting it, it's going to move around. The bigger it is, the heavier it's going to be. It's going to create a tipping hazard for you or a rollover hazard. So don't go with something that's so big that on a side hill, you're worried about it rolling on you. Next item that this ties into the 18 horsepower. 18 horsepower is driving the cutters under that. When you get wider, all the material that you're cutting, it takes more for those cutters to go around and make that cut. One of the things that I found with the 1025R is we've got a big hill back there and we'll mow up and down it because we don't want to mow it on the side hill. And what I find is on the way down the hill, all the power of the tractor can be utilized to spin that PTO. When I'm going uphill, I can watch as that needle, my RPMs, start dropping. And that's because, the tractor's working hard to get itself up the hill. It's working hard to cut that material. And therefore, it's really putting a load on that cutter. The thicker the material, so when you start thinking about what am I cutting, the thicker the material is, the harder it's going to be to cut. So if you're cutting a thick hayfield, you might need to raise that 48-inch tiller up some and make a swipe and then go back and do it again because it may be too much load on your tractor to do, all the way down at the level you want. While we're here, I'm going to talk just a couple other quick tips. Grease it. Only has a few grease fittings. Make sure that you are greasing it periodically. Don't let material build up on top of it when you're storing it. I made the mistake. I shouldn't say the mistake. I had a tiller or a cutter for my bigger tractor. I had it stored out in the woods and it would get covered in leaves. And I took a picture. It was growing stuff and I joked and posted it and someone's like, that's a good way to rust through and damage your brush hog. Once I realize that, I make a point of cleaning it off. I don't let material sit on it, collect moisture, and potentially damage my my cutter. Last tip that I would have with this is when you're hooking it up, make sure the tractor's turned off. Do not hook up any attachments to your PTO when the tractor is turned on. I don't care if it's, the PTO's off, the guy says, someone says, I'll help you. Turn off the tractor. It's just not worth the risk of having a hold of that thing when the PTO kicks in. So when I was picking this up at the dealership, we were hooking up something to the PTO and the guy had the tractor running. And I said to him, he's like, hey, you want to hook that up? And I said, as soon as you turn the tractor off, I'll hook it up. He wasn't encouraging me to do it while it was running, but I just made it clear I wasn't touching that thing while the tractor was running. So anyway, if you're wondering what size cutter can I run on my 1025R, my dealer told me a 48-inch. You're going to get every answer in the book out there from others. Talk to your dealer, check the specs, and buy one that fits. Having that extra 6 inches or 10 inches or extra foot or 2 feet of cutting is not worth doing damage to your equipment. So I hope that was helpful. Keep in mind, you know, I like to say outdoors is always in season. Get out there, enjoy it. Have some good times on that tractor. We'll see you next time. Thanks.